Well, the Lions continue to pick up steam as they head to the West Coast to face the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. The team's winning ways this season have brought a lot of joy to fans and a lot of business to the city. So is all of this success changing the Motor City's image around the country? Let's discuss with Matt Friedman, founding partner of the PR firm Tanner Friedman. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Shanna. Good to be back.
Good to have you. So, depending on who you ask, Detroit has not always had the best reputation. Again, depending on who you ask, and it's debatable. Do you think that something like a winning football team, especially one that's historically not been a winning team, can that really change the perception of the city?
I think we can all agree the fewer Detroit jokes, the better,
Yeah.
no matter where they're coming from. But I've heard some oversimplifications in the last couple of weeks that I don't necessarily agree with.
Okay.
A reputation takes a long time to build and sometimes a longer time to rebuild. And it's very complicated. There are a lot of factors, emotional, rational, that go into forming reputation locally, nationally, internationally. So a good football season is not going to turn around a reputation. It can't hurt, but I think we've seen some things that should make us feel good about how the country is seeing us.
And what's that?
40 million people watched the game just the other day on Sunday, and they saw some of the most amazing pictures of Detroit that I've ever seen, being around here almost my whole life.
Those beautiful aerial shots.
The drone live shots of a sunset over the river. And so if people around the country even subconsciously think, well, that's a nice riverfront. Look, they have tall buildings. Look, they have ice skating downtown. Look, they have side-by-side stadiums. In the game before, the announcers talked about the train station being built. Those are nice little incremental moments that will add up in people's minds, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's only upside, but it's not going to turn around what we're facing here regionally. That's going to take longer and need to be more comprehensive.
Sure. But in a way, I mean, even earlier in the season, just primetime games, it seems like that stage is being had by Detroit more and more frequently.
Yeah, you get to see the city, you get to hear the music, you get to see people having a really good time. It's positive. There's no doubt about that. And you'd rather have a winning team as a resident of a region than not, especially in the NFL, because the NFL is such a powerhouse. It's the closest thing to mass media and entertainment that we have left in this country. 93 of the top 100 most watched TV shows in 2023 were professional football games.
Yeah.
So if you're going to look good, the NFL is the place to do it.
Yeah.
Especially over a long period of time.
It says a lot. What about just the romance of it all? I mean, the story. Everyone loves an underdog story, don't they? And it kind of seems like everyone's really rallying behind. Maybe that the Detroit Lions are America's team now.
Well, everybody likes an underdog. There's no better story, you know, as a storyteller and a journalist, than irony. And what could be more ironic than a team that hadn't won a playoff game since the first Bush administration, winning 2 playoff games? So if you live here or you're from here, somebody wants to talk to you about this, and it's something good to talk about involving your hometown. And again, that's only positive.
Does some of the history help when it comes to people around the country kind of supporting the Lions right now? They don't have this built-up anger toward maybe other teams that have had sort of a dynasty in recent years. Does that kind of help?
I think so. You hear this. This is part of, I think, sports reputation. People are sick of Tom Brady every year, and people are sick of Mahomes and the Chiefs right now. So if they're rooting for the Lions and that makes them feel good about Detroit, get no downside there. It doesn't mean they're going to want to move here or do business here because the football team's winning. That takes other things that I think some smart people are trying to get their arms around and try to solve. But it certainly feels good.
But it can spark an interest. It can lead people to maybe visit, maybe spend a little more time, which who knows what that could lead to.
Yeah, I hope so. You see the the stadium and the baseball stadium side by side. Maybe you'll come here and see what that riverfront looks like in the summer. That's good for everybody if we get a little bit of that even.
Yeah, and taking it one step past the season, how about the NFL draft coming up in April? That's going to be a huge moment.
That's going to be another opportunity, and that's come up in all of this. And, you know, when you talk to the people who are in charge of planning that event, They're expecting people to come from all over. The NFL draft, there is no off season in sports anymore. We know this from a news and a PR perspective. Right. The draft is the second biggest event that the NFL has behind the Super Bowl. Yeah. People will be here from all over the place. And that's the kind of thing where, unlike watching a game on TV, they'll take those stories of their good experiences back to the rest of the league or wherever they came from. That's a really good opportunity.
So it seems like a little bit of pressure for the city, for the area in general, to really show off once that spotlight is on.
I think that's perceptive of you. I think there is some pressure. We don't have the margin of error that some other cities do. I went to the Super Bowl in Atlanta back 24, 25 years ago, and there was an ice storm. Nobody ever remembers that. If there is an ice storm in Detroit during any big event, people will talk about it for decades. Ugh. So, you know, weather is luck.
And is that just because we're more known up in this part of the country for the weather?
I think so, and I also think that we're not the destination event city that some of these other places are. So if there's an ice storm in Atlanta this time, maybe it'll be better the next time, but there may not be a next time for Detroit when you're talking about the Super Bowl or the draft. So we have to get it right. I think leadership in this community really understands that, and they're going all out to make sure that it's successful.
Well, it's coming up fast, and good thing it's in April and not January or February. We might be dealing with that ice storm.
April should be good. Maybe bring an umbrella or a sweatshirt, but it should be good.
Always wise. Layers. All right, Matt Friedman, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.